Hi guys, so today, oh man, today I'm really excited guys. We're gonna have an interview. I'll let her explain, what am I saying, explain. I'll let her introduce herself. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Gideon. I'm a realtor here in Kenya. I usually do content around living in Africa or in Kenya in particular, Nairobi to be particular. So today I'm having an interview with this very beautiful lady. I'll let her introduce herself.
Asante Sana. My name is Rochelle Hawkins, and I'm an African American who has repatriated to Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a travel content creator. I have a digital marketing agency. I also do foodie content. I wear many hats, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So guys, and I'm shamedly, I'm gonna be looking at some of the questions, but I first saw your videos a couple of months ago. You're actually talking about coming to Kenya. That is before you came.
Yes.
So when you came, was that your first time in Kenya?
No, it was my second time. I was in Kenya earlier this year.
All right.
On my Africa tour, my first Africa tour.
Yes.
I had traveled to 11 African countries,
Yes.
and I had the pleasure of coming to Kenya.
Yes.
I went to Nairobi and Mombasa.
Wow.
And then, so yes, this is my second time. I loved it so much, I decided to make it my home base and permanently move here.
Oh, that is really good. So just tell me, this is your second time. So that means when you've been to other African countries and Latin American, I believe?
Yes, I lived in Latin America for 4 years. I lived in Europe for a few years.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm excited to be living in Africa now.
So why did you decide to come back to Nairobi?
Yes, I decided to come back to Nairobi because everywhere in East Africa, everyone was raving about it. Even in Ethiopia, Ethiopians were talking about how they like to go to school here, how they like to work here. Everybody was saying that Nairobi was basically the hub of East Africa.
Really?
You know, it was a tech, mogul. There were opportunities, especially in the creative field, which I am a creative.
Yes.
So I was really excited about the opportunities.
Yes.
And I really loved Mombasa. I loved Kenyan culture, Nairobi. So that's why I decided to make it my home base.
That would be a very good place to start. So tell me, Rochelle, the expectations and the reality.
Yes.
How different is that? What you expected on the reality of it?
Yes, I think that visiting here gave me a good idea of what to look forward to.
Yes.
And I think that the expectations have lived up to the reality because I came here to network and to build my brand and to collaborate.
Yes.
And I definitely have been doing that. I've been working very hard. The hustle is real in Nairobi and the opportunities are plenty. So I think that everything has met my expectations so far. The apartments are very nice. The food is very good. I visited here. I was in Kenya for about 3 weeks prior. So it was pretty much the same as when I visited earlier this year. And I'm just excited to see, what the possibilities are.
Wow. So you're full in. You're coming this is. So do you want to make this, is it a part place? Do you want to travel to other African countries or do you want to make your Nairobi like your base for now?
Yes, Nairobi is my home base and I am going to be traveling a lot next year, but I'm going to be returning to Nairobi like as my home base where I keep most of my belongings. I also have a dog, so my dog is here with me in Nairobi.
Oh, really? Yes, I saw that. Yes, you do have a dog.
So it's my home base, but I'm a traveler, so I'm going to continue traveling as well.
So you travel, but you make Kenya like your Nairobi, your part, like your home base. You travel to other places, then come back.
Right, exactly.
All right. So before you even go to real estate, which this is what it's all about, be honest, right? What are some of the cultural differences that you've noticed and you go like, what is that?
I think the biggest culture shock for me was my first time in Kenya. I did not have my dog, of course. But my second time, I brought my dog. And it was a big adjustment, understanding the cultural differences between like the pet culture. That was the biggest culture shock that I had, was how people were a little scared or apprehensive with my dog because I've been to Asia, my dog has been to over 10 countries with me. Yes. And every country that we went to, everybody loved her. Like, she's like really a great dog. Everybody loved her. But in Kenya, it hasn't been the case. A lot of people are scared.
What's that about?
So it's just cultural differences that I've been adjusting to. But this is the first country that I've been to where people didn't seem like they were very fond of dogs. Or maybe people were shocked because they've never seen the type of dog that I have. So that's been the biggest cultural shock.
It's a big here in Kenya. For us, dogs usually stay outside and they guard. So essentially,
Yes.
Dogs are for guarding. They're not.
Yes.
You don't view them as pets.
Right.
Some do. I'm not saying everyone.
Right.
But for us, a dog stays outside. It's a dog.
Right.
But for you, it's almost like a companion. I would
yeah,
say.
like I call her my daughter. I call her my fur baby.
Oh my goodness.
I've had her since she was 2 months old, and she's 6 now. And I've had her for over 6 years, and I consider her like my daughter. I make jokes about how she's my daughter. So
awesome.
yes,
that's very good.
Yeah.
So what are the other cultural? I don't want to call it cultural, not differences. Something that you are like, I don't understand that. What is that? Like something that has could be even a negative. It doesn't have to be positive. Let's just be real, yeah. Just put it as it is.
Yes, I would say I'm pretty adaptable. I'm pretty open-minded.
Yeah.
The biggest cultural shock was how people were scared of my dog. Like, so that was even walking her down the street. Like every day, it's like a new adventure. I never know what reactions I'm gonna get.
Yeah, guys are like, why?
Yeah, seeing, I guess, a black person walking a dog is not very common here.
True, very true.
And that really is the only thing that has shocked me. But yeah, like there hasn't been anything that has really shocked me or things that I guess I really didn't understand. I feel like living in Latin America for 4 years did prepare me to repatriate to Africa in a lot of ways.
How is that so?
Because I feel like Latin America has a lot of similarities.
Like, I had Latin America.
Yes, Latin America.
Yes.
So yeah, like it prepared me in a lot of ways. I feel like I experienced all of my culture shocks in Latin America after leaving the United States. Yeah, that
would be something. So, how is the traffic jam here? Because that's one of the things I've had there's a big challenge to the expat community is a traffic jam. So how bad is it?
I would say it's similar to, like, I lived in Salvador, Brazil.
Okay.
I would say the driving and the traffic is similar to some places in Brazil.
Yeah.
So I think living in Brazil maybe prepared me in more ways than I understood.
Yeah.
The traffic is not anything that is like very stressful for me. I take the Boda Boda sometimes. That can be an adventure. Like I took the Boda Boda this morning.
I do take them when I have to.
Yeah.
But Boda Bodas mean motorcycles, right?
Yeah, it's a little faster sometimes.
Yes.
And sometimes you just need something to wake you up a little bit. It wakes me up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the only thing is sometimes I think the fumes can, like, sitting in the fumes in traffic and any traffic can kind of make you like a little bit of a headache.
Yeah.
But I would also say one thing that took me a long time to adjust to is the altitude and the dust. I did get sick when I first got here.
I saw that.
I think it was a combination of the weather, the dust, and the altitude. My respiratory system. I basically got a respiratory infection.
All right.
It took like about a month. To adjust. Yeah, and I have asthma, so that was the biggest adjustment. Yeah.
This video wouldn't complete without. How does Nairobi compare to the other cities that you've been to? Would you say it's your favorite city? Where would you rank it in your?
Well, I've been to in the United States specifically.
United States, Latin, all of.
Okay, I've been to a
Kenyans
lot
love
of
comparison videos. We really love it. So
I've been to a lot of cities in my lifetime. I would say I really love Nairobi. I would say Nairobi is definitely like top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, like I would say Nairobi, the infrastructure can be great. The apartments, there's some very beautiful apartments here.
Yes.
The people are very friendly.
Yes.
And welcoming. The party culture is lit.
Okay.
The food is good. Yes,
right.
I think the food, can be very flavorful.
Yes.
And this is the first time, I will say this is the first city that I lived in abroad where I really felt excited to collaborate with people, and I really felt motivated with the business opportunities.
Yes.
Living in Latin America, I do speak Spanish and Portuguese, but I did feel limited regarding the business opportunities due to the language barrier and maybe cultural barriers.
Yes.
But I've been very excited, and I've collaborated with a lot of people in Nairobi just because of just how many people are excited to work with me, and just I think the hustle culture. I feel very motivated here because of the hustle culture. Yes.
That's very interesting, sharing that from someone. So that's a really good way to segue to how did you, before you even talk about real estate, how did you find your house? What was that process?
Yes, that's a very interesting story because I've been in 3 apartments and I found them all on Airbnb. And the first one that I went, I feel like I was trying to save money.
Yes.
It was like a budget place. And I feel like that place also contributed to me getting sick.
Oh.
There was black mold.
Yes.
Then the second place that I went to, there was a little bit of mold, but it was a little bit cleaner.
Yes.
And then the third place, I just realized, like, if I'm going to find places on Airbnb, I'm going to have to spend a pretty penny. So I just bit the bullet. I spent a lot of money to get a very comfortable place in Kileleshwa. And I love the place that I'm at now. So I did realize,
so you've already moved, actually.
Yes, I'm in my third Airbnb. After 2 like more so economical options.
Yes.
And I do think that if you want to stay in the foreigner bubble or as a foreigner, getting places on Airbnb, it can be very expensive to find a high quality place, but it's worth it. You know,
I have 2 questions because I've always had this theory because I've also seen a lot of videos on the amount of money that guys are paying. Do you think having a local person show you around would be a better option?
Yes, I think having a concierge or some type of local advisor would greatly benefit like Black expats or expats in general. Like it could definitely be a very good resource to have.
My advice with anyone who is coming is usually come, get whatever you can get, and then walk, see what is available, and then just choose from what you can see instead of booking somewhere for 3 months and then you end up not liking the place. Come here, get a local if you can. Go see a couple of places, test it out, see if it will be comfortable there, and then you can stay there for a longer period. Let me ask, do you think in particular, African Americans, do you think they're being overcharged in Kenya? Just let's be honest about it.
I think in regards to some Airbnbs, definitely. And I know you asked about African Americans specifically. I would say that we also fit into like just the bubble of diaspora. Like I think that some people coming from the diaspora are definitely 100% being overcharged. And even the Airbnb that I'm staying in now was a good example of that because when I had first booked with her, I had only booked 1 month. But then I told her that I wanted to do like a short-term lease with her outside of Airbnb, and she doubled the price.
Oh, really?
She doubled the price just because I guess she felt like she could. And so I am going to be leaving this place soon because I did feel like she was trying to take advantage of me and like basically exploit me, especially when we were talking on the phone. And maybe she heard my American accent.
Of course.
I don't know. She doubled the price as soon as she heard my American accent.
Very sad.
So I decided not to do the lease with her, and I'm going to be looking for another place because I did feel like I was being taken advantage of, like especially I think mainly housing. Because I'm offering myself to show you around because I actually do think they are really nice Airbnbs, but anytime you speak and that foreign accent comes through, someone, and it's very unfortunate, Kenyans will tend to double their prices, right? That's why I usually tell guys, just look for a local. It doesn't have to be me. Just look for someone to go and look for you a really nice Airbnb, negotiate, and then you can just pay. That would be a great service.
That would be a great service, right? Are there other areas that you feel like you're being overcharged, with the exception of Airbnbs and stuff?
No, I would say yes. I'm an honest person. Like,
that'd be nice.
I would say housing is the first experience that I've had with it. And I would say grocery stores, like going to supermarkets is definitely more expensive. I think that foreigners could definitely benefit from having a local advisor showing them more affordable places to shop, like how to shop in markets maybe, because the supermarkets can be very, very expensive. But I have heard that shopping at the local markets and knowing where to go saves you a lot of money.
I saw one of this American couple that I really followed. It's called, I think you know them, Jermaine and Saida.
Okay.
They have a channel. So they usually, when they went and did their grocery, it came to $400. I was shocked because $400 is almost $52.
That's some people's salary.
That's a salary for someone who is here. So is $400 per month, is it too high for you, or do you think it's very...
I would say that's like the average price that you would spend
for groceries.
As a foreigner who doesn't know where to go, and only shops at supermarkets, that's pretty average. Like supermarkets are extremely expensive, but they're also the most easily accessible if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
They're convenient.
Yeah, especially.
Would you go to a local market?
Yes, I've
with
been
the
to
hustle and bustle,
markets.
you know how it is, yeah?
Yes.
You know, it's an experience on its own, yeah?
Yeah, like I would go to a local market, but you also, it could be very intimidating maybe for somebody if it's their first day in Kenya.
Yes.
That's why I say it would be beneficial to have a local explain the process, explain how to haggle maybe, or I think you say bargain.
Bargain.
Yes, yeah. Some people don't understand haggle. But so it can be very intimidating if it's your first day in Kenya or your first day in Africa, but I think a lot of people are willing to do it, especially if they're going to be saving hundreds of dollars. You know,
for $400 we could get like sacks of potatoes, like a sack of potato. I don't know how much. Probably it goes for 3,000 Kenya shillings. I might be wrong, maybe 3,000. Victor, would you say that's right? 3,000 for a sack of potatoes in a local market? I mean, so you can imagine how much would cost probably just a handful of that in a supermarket, Interesting.
So what's your monthly grocery bill?
Oh my goodness, not 50,000 for sure. Probably, if I'm to be really honest, let me just try and, probably, $100. Bro, what are you talking about? What are you guys eating, man? Seriously. I'll probably, at most, maybe 5,000.
Wow, a month.
A month.
Wow, that's
avocados,
crazy.
Avocados, onions,
rice.
But also, yes, I don't have a very big family, that has to be said. But still, $400 is really, really on the extreme. Like if you tell the average Kenyan you're spending $400, unless you're telling me you have like an extended family, no one would really understand that. That's really okay. Let me ask you something that you can, what are the business opportunities that you as an African American see that we Kenyans don't see? What are the opportunities that you can see that probably we don't see?
I think for me as a content creator, there's a lot of opportunities for collaborations. I have collaborated with about 3 or 4, maybe 5 content creators in Kenya. And we make really engaging, exciting content. So as a content creator, there's a lot of opportunities to network and collaborate. Also, I've hired people, here that could help take my brand to the next level. And so for me, I think the opportunities are being able to be in a place that is more peaceful and being able to build my brand online because I work online.
What is your brand? I'm really sorry. You should have started. What's your brand online? My apologies.
I'm a travel content creator. I also do digital marketing. And so those are mainly the 2 careers that I'm focusing on currently. So I make travel content, foodie content, and I just do digital marketing. I also have a virtual assisting agency that I'm getting off of the ground. So I think also coming here, I'm able to hire people and give them job opportunities at a fair wage that could benefit, it could be mutually beneficial.
All right.
Yeah.
So when you're working here as a digital nomad, let me put it that way, if that would work, does the infrastructure support what you're doing from internet, electricity, all these things which are associated in Africa? Are you comfortable doing whatever you need to do?
Yes, I am. Like, I would say 99% of the time, the Wi-Fi and the electricity is working. Like this morning, I didn't have any electricity. I don't know what was going on. I don't know, but usually I have electricity. But even if there's no electricity in my apartment or maybe the Wi-Fi is a little funky, I can walk 5 minutes to a cafe. There's a lot of amazing cafes. There's workspaces like for co-working also. So I think that it definitely does support,
How bad is electricity blackouts if they're there? Because, yes, I do have an American audience. How bad? Is it that bad?
No, it's not that bad. Again, I think in Latin America, they can be common, like they happen, you know. In the United States, people probably are not very accustomed to them. But after living in Latin America, I did get used to them happening, every so often. So I would say, just from my experience, I've been living in Kenya for permanently almost 2 months. And there's been about maybe 6 blackouts that lasted about maybe like 3 to 4 hours on average.
Wow.
You know, average about 3 hours. And I don't think that that's too horrible.
Yeah.
And I've heard that if you watch the news, a lot of the times the news will give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Like if there's like maintenance. Yeah. So you get a heads up sometimes, like, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like, and if you really are very affected by it, then you can go to a local cafe to work.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been very extreme.
I have actually, I think they're more, because where I stay, I stay on the outskirts of Nairobi.
Okay.
We have at most probably maybe once in a month. Okay. And they'll usually be like 10 minutes or less. Around the expat bubbles, I think that's where you have like really terrible blackouts. The reason is everyone is building around here.
Okay.
So there's a lot of infrastructure, disturbance or something like that.
Okay.
Because like you're saying, you've had blackouts like probably 1 or 2 times just in the last 2 months.
Wow, okay.
So it could be, that leads me to another question. Would you live outside the bubble, Kileleshwa, Kilimani, Lavington, Westlands area? Would you be comfortable staying outside those places as long as they have internet and electricity?
Yes. And I think I lived on Naivasha Road for a few weeks. I lived in Westland, or not Westlands, but Nairobi West. I lived in Nairobi West for a little bit. And those areas were good. But I think for me, my situation is unique because I do have my dog. And I do think outside of the expat areas, the dog culture, it could just be a big shock for people. Yeah, like even when I lived in Naivasha Road, I wasn't even able to walk my dog because it was very congested, and there was no place to walk my dog. Like I do have to walk her, you know, that's just, you know, something that is one of my responsibilities. But if I did live outside of the expat bubble, I would at least need areas where I could be able to walk her, you know.
Actually, I think where you're talking about, it's actually still not, it's not in the expat bubble. There's what you call the expat bubble, then where a majority of Kenyans live in Nairobi. And then there's the outskirts where, for me, it takes probably 40 minutes to come to Nairobi. Those places have a lot of dogs. Let me ask you, Rochelle, something that I've actually seen a couple of expats in other African countries. I've realized one of the 2 things expats will leave a country, and the biggest one is community. So do you have a community? 2 questions actually. Do you have an African American community? And do you have an African community that you can plug in so that you're not just alone? Right.
Yes. So before I came to Nairobi, I did get plugged into an expat group chat, and it's not only African Americans. There were Haitians, Nigerians, you know, African Americans, even Kenyans in the group chat. And so they were able to help me. They were able to give me advice. We help each other. We hang out. We have like game nights sometimes. We meet at events sometimes. And so there is a Black expat group chat that I am a part of, and we meet up sometimes. Like we're planning a Thanksgiving little dinner. And so, but it's not only African Americans. There's Kenyans, Haitians, Nigerians, Ghanaians, you know. So I would say there is like Black expat communities you can plug into. And in regards to the African community, I am slowly but surely, you know, building it. I do have like another Kenyan woman that we are building like a friendship and a business partnership as well.
Oh, really?
So it takes, you know, slowly but surely. I've collaborated with her a couple times on my channel. You've probably seen her. She's also a realtor. So
Awesome.
So slowly but surely, just building my community and settling in.
Awesome. How is the food in Kenya? How is the food culture? 2 things, because I think people confuse Kenyan food culture. Kenya has an international food culture, right? I think that's what Kenyan mean, but how is the Kenyan food itself?
I enjoy Kenyan food. I like coconut fish, chapati, you know, ugali. You know, I like the cream spinach. And I also like the Indian food. Like last night I had Pakistani food. I had biryani. You know, so I do think that there is a lot of diversity here in the food culture. I try like Kenyeji chicken, like a lot of different type of things. So I love the Kenyan food. I do think that you prioritize having a balanced diet more, like especially compared to some other countries. Like, I like the balanced diet. I can definitely tell that like a lot of Kenyans prioritize healthy eating or at least a balanced diet.
I actually have this theory. I usually tell people straight up, Kenyan food is very bland. And I say that because I have not been to America, but I've been to other countries. And it's bland for a reason, is because Kenya don't do a lot of seasoning, true or false, right?
The actual Kenyan definitely foods, no piri piri, like not a lot of pepper.
Not a lot of pepper.
Not a lot of pepper.
But so it's bland, but it's very nutritious. I would say that, right? However, on the flip side, we have the other international foods, Ghanaian, Ugandan. I even had this Vietnamese restaurant. So in terms of other international foods, they are available. What do you think of that?
There's definitely a lot. I've been to Ghanaian restaurants, Pakistani restaurants. So I've been to Asian, Chinese. So there is a lot of food diversity, like international culture. All right.
Is Nairobi expensive?
I would say it definitely can be if you don't know where to look. Like 100%. If you're just a foreigner that's coming here and you're not tapped in, especially having anybody help you, you could easily spend thousands, like just because you maybe just don't know better. So it can be very expensive if you don't have a local community and you don't know where to look for certain things.
I believe Nairobi is as expensive as you make it be. There's a video I did a review. This lady was spending $500,000 Kenya shillings, which would be the equivalent money local Kenyan member of parliament is paid. And people are like really shocked, just in terms of living, because for that sort of money, you would rather just buy an apartment and just live there instead of paying. So as we wrap up, I feel that's an Ankara, right? How's the fashion in Kenya? Do you like it?
Yes, I've really been enjoying the fashion scene. This is the first time where I've really had access to getting like custom clothes made. I've had a few custom pieces made here, and I'm really loving it. I'm also working with another fashion designer as we speak to get even more custom clothes made. And so I've been to Eastleigh.
You're a local. She's a local guy.
The Eastleigh markets, like. This is where I got this custom made. You can get jeans. You can get like anything you want. They also do some custom shoes. I'm starting to tap into that. So I really love the fashion scene here, especially the ability to get like custom designs, custom clothes made. And it's at a pretty economical price.
It's really at an economical price, right? If you know where to go and look for stuff.
Like Eastleigh, like this was about I want to say about like 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings. For custom clothes. And they made them in like an hour. I went to lunch, I came back, and it was done. So there's definitely like, unlimited possibilities, a lot of different fabrics you can choose from. So I've really been enjoying it.
As I wrap up, tell me the top 3 favorite things about Nairobi. So far.
The top favorite things I would say would be the activities. There's a lot of things to do. I would say the cafe culture, like the foodie culture, the food diversity. And also I've been enjoying the weather. When I first got here, it was very cold for me. But I'm really liking the weather now. Like it's mild, not too hot. So I'm enjoying that as well. So,
once I had a Canadian in church. When I told her Nairobi is really cold, and she was like, "You have no idea." So when you say Nairobi is cold, are there levels to this, or is Nairobi even cold for you as an American?
When I first got here, I had lived in South America, for over about 2 years. So South America, it can get like the average temperature in Salvador, at least in the summer, is like 35. So when you're used to just living in like 35-degree weather every day, Celsius, and then you come here, like it was very cold, and I did get sick because I was, especially at night and in the mornings, it was very cold. Like the beginning of, the end of September. But now it has warmed up a little bit more, and this is more comfortable for me. Like I'm not very cold in the mornings anymore, but like I think in the mornings it would have been like about 20, like which is very cold for me, especially after living in South America.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rochelle. It was a pleasure having you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So guys, that was it. I am actually a realtor as well. So for any of you guys who is looking for a local attaché here in Kenya for your real estate needs, kindly consider me. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes.